When my mother chose my stepsister over me to inherit our multi-million-dollar family business, I thought my world had ended. What I didn't realize was that our biggest client had been watching everything, and 3 months later, their phone call would change both our lives forever in ways neither of us could have imagined. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. My name is Victoria Sterling, and for 28 years, I believed that dedication, competence, and unwavering loyalty to family would determine my place in Sterling and Associates marketing consultancy. I was wrong about many things, but I was absolutely right about one crucial detail. Sometimes the most devastating betrayals create the most extraordinary opportunities for those brave enough to seize them. The Sterling family business was built on the foundation of my grandfather's vision in 1967, when Harold Sterling recognized that small and medium-sized businesses needed sophisticated marketing strategies but lacked the resources to hire major advertising agencies. He started Sterling and Associates from the basement of his Chicago home, armed with nothing but a typewriter, a telephone, and an unshakable belief that every business deserved professional marketing expertise regardless of their budget constraints. By the time I was born in 1995, Sterling and Associates had evolved into a respected mid-sized marketing consultancy serving over 200 clients across the Midwest. The company specialized in comprehensive marketing solutions for businesses, with annual revenues between $5 million and $50 million, occupying the crucial middle market that larger agencies often overlooked. Our client base included manufacturing companies, regional retail chains, professional service firms, and technology companies that required sophisticated marketing strategies delivered with the personal attention that only a family-owned business could provide. My earliest memories are inseparable from the business that defined our family identity. I spent countless hours in the Sterling and Associates offices, initially accompanying my mother during school holidays and summer breaks when childcare arrangements proved challenging. The office environment became my second home, where I learned to recognize the distinctive sounds of success, the constant hum of telephone conversations with clients, the rhythmic clicking of keyboards as account managers developed campaign strategies, and the periodic celebrations that marked successful project completions or new client acquisitions. My mother, Catherine Sterling, had assumed leadership of the company following my grandfather's retirement in 1998, when I was 3 years old. She had worked alongside Harold since graduating from Northwestern University with a degree in business administration, learning every aspect of the marketing consultancy business from client acquisition and account management to financial planning and strategic development. Under her leadership, Sterling and Associates had doubled its client base and tripled its annual revenue, establishing the company as a recognized leader in mid-market marketing consultation throughout Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. Catherine Sterling was a formidable businesswoman whose reputation for strategic thinking and client relationship management had earned respect throughout the marketing industry. She served on the board of directors for the Midwest Marketing Professionals Association, spoke regularly at industry conferences, and had been featured in numerous trade publications as an example of successful family business leadership. Her approach to client service emphasized long-term relationship building over short-term revenue maximization, a philosophy that had resulted in an average client retention rate of 87% over her 15-year tenure as company president. The Sterling and Associates office occupied 2 floors of a renovated warehouse building in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood, reflecting my mother's belief that creative work required inspiring environments. The space featured exposed brick walls, polished concrete floors, and large windows that filled the offices with natural light throughout the day. Conference rooms were equipped with state-of-the-art presentation technology, and the main workspace included both collaborative areas for team projects and private offices for focused individual work. The overall aesthetic communicated professionalism and creativity while maintaining the approachable atmosphere that had become synonymous with the Sterling brand. My childhood fascination with the business operations at Sterling and Associates developed into genuine professional interest as I progressed through elementary and middle school. I began asking detailed questions about client projects, marketing strategies, and business development processes, demonstrating an intuitive understanding of the industry that impressed both my mother and the senior staff members who had watched me grow up within the company environment. By the time I reached high school, I was volunteering to assist with basic administrative tasks and observing client meetings whenever my schedule permitted. The decision to study marketing and business administration at the University of Illinois was natural and inevitable, driven by my desire to contribute meaningfully to the family business that had shaped my identity and provided the foundation for our family's success. I approached my undergraduate education with the specific goal of developing the skills and knowledge necessary to eventually assume leadership responsibilities at Sterling and Associates, viewing my academic pursuits as professional preparation rather than merely intellectual exploration. During my college years, I maintained regular contact with Sterling and Associates through internship opportunities and part-time work during academic breaks. These experiences provided practical application for the theoretical concepts I studied in my business courses while allowing me to develop relationships with clients and staff members who would become crucial to my professional development. I particularly enjoyed working on market research projects and client presentation development, discovering that I possessed natural abilities in analytical thinking and strategic communication that complemented my inherited understanding of the family business culture. My academic performance at the University of Illinois reflected my commitment to preparing for eventual leadership at Sterling and Associates. I graduated summa cum laude with a double major in marketing and business administration, while also completing additional coursework in digital marketing, data analytics, and international business to ensure my skill set would meet the evolving demands of the marketing consultancy industry. Upon graduation in 2017, I officially joined Sterling and Associates as a junior account coordinator, beginning my professional career at the entry level despite my family connection to the business. This decision reflected both my mother's commitment to meritocratic advancement within the company and my own desire to earn respect through demonstrated competence rather than inherited privilege. My starting salary and responsibilities were identical to those of other new hires, and I reported directly to Sarah Martinez, the account management supervisor who had been with the company for 8 years. The transition from college student to professional employee at Sterling and Associates required significant adjustments in both my daily routine and my relationship with family members, who were now also colleagues and supervisors. I approached this challenge with determination to prove my capabilities while respecting the established hierarchy and company culture that had contributed to Sterling and Associates' success. My goal was to demonstrate that my commitment to the family business extended beyond emotional attachment to include professional competence and strategic thinking abilities. My first year as a junior account coordinator involved supporting senior account managers in client communication, project coordination, and campaign implementation activities. I worked on accounts ranging from a regional furniture manufacturer seeking to expand into new geographic markets to a chain of specialty food stores developing an e-commerce platform. These diverse client experiences provided comprehensive exposure to the breadth of marketing challenges that mid-sized businesses encountered, and the range of solutions that Sterling and Associates developed to address those challenges. The learning curve during my initial months at Sterling and Associates was steep but exhilarating. I discovered that my academic preparation had provided a solid theoretical foundation, but the practical realities of client management required additional skills in diplomacy, problem-solving, and creative thinking that could only be developed through direct experience. I particularly enjoyed the analytical aspects of marketing campaign development, including market research, competitive analysis, and performance measurement activities that allowed me to apply quantitative methodologies to strategic decision-making processes. My dedication to excellence and willingness to assume additional responsibilities quickly earned recognition from both supervisors and colleagues at Sterling and Associates. Within 6 months of joining the company, I was consistently receiving positive performance evaluations and had been assigned primary responsibility for several smaller client accounts. Sarah Martinez noted in my first annual review that my combination of analytical skills, client communication abilities, and strategic thinking represented exactly the type of talent that would drive Sterling and Associates' continued growth and success. The professional satisfaction I experienced during my early career at Sterling and Associates reinforced my conviction that family business leadership represented my ultimate career objective. I felt deeply connected to the company's mission of providing sophisticated marketing expertise to mid-sized businesses, and I believed that my unique combination of inherited company knowledge and formal business education positioned me ideally to continue the Sterling family legacy of innovative client service and strategic thinking. By my second year at Sterling and Associates, I had been promoted to account manager and was directly responsible for managing relationships with 12 client companies representing approximately $2 million in annual billings. My clients consistently provided positive feedback about my strategic recommendations, responsiveness to their concerns, and ability to develop creative solutions to complex marketing challenges. I had also begun contributing to business development efforts, participating in new client presentations and helping to identify potential growth opportunities for the company. The sense of purpose and professional fulfillment I derived from my work at Sterling and Associates extended beyond personal career satisfaction to encompass genuine pride in continuing the family tradition of marketing excellence that my grandfather had established and my mother had expanded. I viewed each successful client project as both a professional achievement and a contribution to the Sterling family legacy, believing that my efforts were building the foundation for eventually assuming leadership responsibilities and guiding the company through its next phase of growth and development. However, the comfortable certainty of my professional trajectory was about to encounter a disruption that would challenge every assumption I had made about family loyalty, business, succession, and the relationship between merit and opportunity within family enterprises. The introduction of new family dynamics would soon reveal that blood relationships and business competence do not always align in the ways that naive optimism might suggest, and that the path to professional success sometimes requires abandoning the safety of inherited expectations to pursue opportunities that demand independence, courage, and unwavering commitment to personal excellence. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The first indication that my carefully constructed professional future was about to face unprecedented challenges arrived on a Tuesday morning in March 2019, when my mother called to inform me that she had married Robert Blackwood during a private ceremony in Napa Valley the previous weekend. The news struck me with the force of a physical blow, not because I opposed my mother's happiness, but because this life-altering decision had been made without any consultation or advance notice to her only daughter and presumed business successor. Catherine Sterling had been dating Robert Blackwood for approximately 18 months, a relationship that had developed gradually following their introduction at a Chicago Chamber of Commerce networking event in late 2017. Robert was a successful commercial real estate developer whose portfolio included office buildings, retail centers, and residential developments throughout the Chicago metropolitan area. His professional reputation was solid, his financial position was secure, and his personal demeanor was pleasant and engaging during the family dinners and social occasions where I had interacted with him. However, the relationship had progressed, with a discretion that I now recognized as deliberate concealment rather than appropriate privacy. My mother had consistently described their connection as casual companionship, emphasizing their shared interest in business development and cultural activities while downplaying any serious romantic implications. When pressed for details about their future plans, she had deflected questions with vague responses about enjoying the present moment and avoiding premature commitments that might complicate their respective business responsibilities. The revelation? of their marriage was accompanied by additional information that fundamentally altered my understanding of how this relationship would affect the Sterling family business structure. Robert Blackwood was not merely my mother's new husband, but also the father of Isabella Blackwood, a 26-year-old woman who would now become my stepsister, and, according to my mother's carefully worded explanation, an integral part of our expanded family unit. Isabella Blackwood possessed a resume that appeared designed to challenge my position as the natural successor to Sterling and Associates leadership. She held an MBA from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business, had worked for 3 years as a strategy consultant at McKinsey & Company, and had recently completed a specialized certificate program in digital marketing from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management. Her professional experience included client work with Fortune 500 companies, international business development projects, and strategic planning initiatives that had generated significant cost savings and revenue growth for her consulting clients. The timing of this marriage announcement coincided with Sterling and Associates' preparation for the most significant business expansion in company history. My mother had been developing plans to establish satellite offices in Milwaukee and Indianapolis, targeting mid-size businesses in those markets that were currently underserved by quality marketing consultancy firms. The expansion would require substantial capital investment, sophisticated operational planning, and experienced leadership capable of managing complex, multi-location business operations. I had been working closely with my mother on the expansion planning process for 6 months, contributing market research, financial analysis, and operational recommendations that demonstrated my readiness for increased leadership responsibilities. The project represented exactly the type of strategic challenge that would establish my credentials as a capable business leader, while positioning Sterling and Associates for sustained growth and increased market presence throughout the Midwest region. My initial meeting with Isabella Blackwood occurred during a family dinner at my mother's Lincoln Park condominium, ostensibly organized to celebrate the marriage and facilitate introductions between the newly blended family members. The evening was choreographed with the precision of a diplomatic summit, featuring carefully neutral conversation topics and elaborate meal preparations that reflected my mother's desire to create positive first impressions. Isabella arrived at the dinner wearing an impeccably tailored business suit that communicated both professional authority and personal confidence. Her appearance was polished and sophisticated, suggesting someone accustomed to high-stakes business environments and comfortable commanding attention in professional settings. Her handshake was firm, her eye contact was direct, and her initial conversation topics focused on business strategy and industry trends, with the fluency of someone deeply versed in corporate consulting methodologies. The conversation during dinner revealed that Isabella possessed comprehensive knowledge of Sterling and Associates' business model, client base, and strategic challenges. Her questions were sophisticated and demonstrated genuine understanding of the marketing consultancy industry, while her observations about potential growth opportunities and operational improvements reflected strategic thinking capabilities that clearly impressed my mother. I found myself simultaneously admiring Isabella's professional competence and feeling increasingly uncomfortable about her obvious interest in our family business operations. Her questions about client relationships, revenue projections, and expansion plans went far beyond casual curiosity, suggesting that she viewed Sterling and Associates as more than merely her new stepfamily's source of income. The most unsettling moment of the evening occurred when Isabella began discussing her consulting experience with mid-sized businesses facing digital marketing challenges, describing strategies and methodologies that could be directly applicable to several Sterling and Associates clients. My mother listened with obvious fascination, asking detailed follow-up questions and expressing enthusiasm about the potential for incorporating Isabella's expertise into our service offerings. I attempted to participate in this conversation by sharing my own experiences with digital marketing initiatives for Sterling and Associates clients, but found myself increasingly marginalized as my mother and Isabella developed an animated discussion. about advanced analytical techniques and emerging technology platforms that extended beyond my current knowledge base. The dynamic felt deliberately exclusionary, as though I was being evaluated and found lacking in some fundamental way. Following the dinner, I spent several sleepless nights analyzing the implications of my mother's marriage and Isabella's obvious interest in Sterling and Associates. The rational part of my mind acknowledged that blended families required adjustment periods and that Isabella's professional background could potentially benefit our business operations. However, my intuitive understanding of family dynamics and business politics suggested that more significant changes were approaching than anyone was willing to discuss openly. My concerns were partially validated during a staff meeting the following week when my mother announced that Isabella would be joining Sterling and Associates as a senior consultant, effective immediately. The announcement was presented as a natural expansion of our professional capabilities, emphasizing Isabella's strategic consulting experience and advanced educational credentials. The staff response was politely positive, though I detected subtle tension among several long-term employees who recognized the implications of introducing a family member at such a senior level without following the established promotion procedures. Isabella's integration into Sterling and Associates proceeded with remarkable efficiency and strategic positioning. She was assigned an office adjacent to my mother's executive suite, participated in senior leadership meetings from her first day, and began contributing to high-level strategic planning discussions that had previously included only my mother and the most senior account directors. Her impact on company operations became apparent almost immediately. Isabella introduced sophisticated analytical tools and reporting systems that enhanced our ability to measure campaign effectiveness and demonstrate value to clients. She developed comprehensive competitive analysis frameworks that improved our new business development presentations. She established relationships with technology vendors that provided Sterling and Associates with access to cutting-edge marketing platforms at preferential pricing arrangements. More significantly, Isabella began accompanying my mother to client meetings and industry events, representing Sterling and Associates at professional conferences and networking opportunities where business relationships and strategic partnerships were developed. These high-visibility activities positioned her as a key spokesperson for the company while simultaneously elevating her profile within the marketing consultancy industry. I watched these developments with growing apprehension, recognizing that Isabella's rapid integration into Sterling and Associates leadership was fundamentally altering the company's executive structure and succession planning assumptions. My role as account manager, while professionally satisfying and financially rewarding, was beginning to feel increasingly peripheral to the strategic decision-making processes that would determine the company's future direction. The expansion project for Milwaukee and Indianapolis offices became the focal point of my concerns about changing family dynamics and business leadership structures. Isabella had assumed primary responsibility for developing the operational plans, financial projections, and implementation strategies that would guide the expansion process. Her consulting background and analytical capabilities made her the logical choice for this complex assignment, but her leadership of the project effectively displaced me from the strategic planning role I had expected to occupy. During one particularly challenging week, I found myself working late in the Sterling and Associates offices, reviewing client reports and campaign performance data while contemplating the dramatic changes that had occurred in my professional environment over the past several months. The building was quiet, except for the ambient sounds of heating systems and computer equipment, creating an atmosphere conducive to honest self-reflection about my career trajectory and family relationships. I realized that my assumptions about family business succession had been naive and unrealistic. The expectation that blood relationships and loyal service would automatically translate into leadership opportunities reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of how business decisions are made, even within family enterprises. Isabella's superior educational credentials, extensive consulting experience, and strategic thinking capabilities made her a formidable competitor for leadership positions at Sterling and Associates. More troubling was my growing recognition that my mother's enthusiasm for Isabella's contributions extended beyond professional appreciation to encompass genuine maternal pride and affection. The relationship between my mother and Isabella was developing with an intensity and mutual admiration that felt both natural and exclusive, creating a bond that seemed to diminish the significance of my own relationship with my mother. The realization that I was losing ground both professionally and personally created a sense of urgent determination to prove my value to Sterling and Associates and demonstrate my capabilities as a future business leader. I began working longer hours, taking on additional client responsibilities, and developing innovative marketing strategies that showcased my creativity and strategic thinking abilities. However, these efforts seemed to generate limited recognition or advancement opportunities. Isabella's presence had shifted the spotlight away from my contributions, and her sophisticated analytical approaches made my more traditional marketing methodologies appear outdated and less valuable. I felt trapped in a competition where the evaluation criteria were constantly evolving in directions that favored my opponent's strengths, while minimizing my accumulated experience and institutional knowledge. The psychological pressure of this situation was compounded by my reluctance to discuss my concerns with friends or colleagues who might interpret my complaints as professional jealousy or family dysfunction. The isolation of dealing with these challenges alone intensified the emotional stress, while limiting my access to objective feedback and strategic advice that might have helped me navigate the changing dynamics more effectively. As autumn approached, I found myself working within a business environment that felt increasingly foreign, despite my lifelong familiarity with Sterling and Associates operations. The company culture was evolving under Isabella's influence, incorporating more formal analytical processes and strategic planning methodologies, while de-emphasizing the relationship-focused client service approach that had historically defined our competitive advantage. The most painful aspect of this transformation was recognizing that many of the changes Isabella implemented were genuinely beneficial to Sterling and Associates operations and client service capabilities. Her contributions were not merely political maneuvering, but represented legitimate business improvements that enhanced our competitive position and operational efficiency. This reality made it impossible to dismiss her influence as temporary or undeserved, forcing me to acknowledge that my resentment was based on personal rather than professional concerns. The year concluded with Sterling and Associates achieving record financial performance, driven largely by new client acquisitions and expanded service offerings that reflected Isabella's strategic contributions. My mother's satisfaction with these results was evident in her year-end staff presentations and her increasingly frequent public recognition of Isabella's role in the company's success. As I prepared for what would prove to be the most challenging year of my professional life, I understood that the comfortable certainty of my expected inheritance was dissolving, replaced by an uncertain future that would require me to prove my worth through performance rather than birthright. The question was whether I possessed the capability and determination to compete successfully against someone whose qualifications and strategic thinking abilities clearly exceeded my own. The new year brought with it a series of developments that transformed the undercurrent of professional tension at Sterling and Associates into an open competition for leadership positioning and strategic influence. The Milwaukee and Indianapolis expansion project had been approved by the board of directors during the December meeting, with Isabella designated as the primary project manager responsible for implementation planning and operational oversight. This assignment represented the most significant strategic initiative in company history and positioned Isabella as the de facto heir apparent to future executive leadership. My response to this development involved a comprehensive reassessment of my professional strategy and a determined effort to demonstrate capabilities that would distinguish my contributions from Isabella's analytical approach to business development. I recognized that competing directly with her consulting expertise and strategic planning methodologies would be futile given her superior educational background and McKinsey experience. Instead, I focused on leveraging my institutional knowledge, client relationships, and deep understanding of Sterling & Associates culture to create value that could not be replicated by external expertise alone. The opportunity to showcase these distinctive capabilities emerged through my relationship with our most significant client, Midwest Manufacturing Solutions, a family-owned industrial equipment company that had been working with Sterling & Associates for 8 years. The relationship had begun when the company was generating annual revenues of $12 million and required basic marketing support for trade show participation and product brochure development. Under my management, their marketing investment had grown to represent nearly $400,000 in annual billings, while their business had expanded to $38 million in revenue across 6 Midwest states. James Morrison, the president and CEO of Midwest Manufacturing Solutions, had developed a personal relationship with me that extended beyond typical client-vendor interactions. He frequently sought my strategic advice on business development, challenges, competitive positioning decisions, and market expansion opportunities that affected his company's growth trajectory. Morrison appreciated my understanding of his industry dynamics, my responsiveness to his urgent requests, and my ability to translate complex marketing concepts into practical implementation strategies that his internal team could execute effectively. The relationship with Midwest Manufacturing Solutions represented exactly the type of long-term client partnership that exemplified Sterling & Associates' competitive advantage in the mid-market consulting space. While larger agencies often treated clients as interchangeable revenue sources, our family business culture emphasized personal relationships and customized service approaches that created genuine value for clients while generating sustained revenue growth for Sterling & Associates. Isabella's arrival at Sterling & Associates had introduced a more formal, systematized approach to client relationship management that emphasized standardized processes, detailed performance metrics, and comprehensive reporting systems. While these improvements enhanced our operational efficiency and demonstrated clear value to clients, they also reduced the personal touch and customized service delivery that had historically differentiated our company from larger competitors. The tension between these different approaches to client service became apparent during my first quarterly review meeting with Morrison in February. He expressed appreciation for the enhanced reporting and analytical capabilities that Sterling & Associates now provided, but also voiced concerns about the increasingly formal nature of our interactions and the reduction in direct access to senior leadership for strategic discussions. Morrison's feedback revealed a broader client satisfaction issue that had implications for Sterling & Associates' competitive positioning and long-term growth prospects. Several other long-term clients had made similar observations about the evolution of our service delivery approach, suggesting that our emphasis on analytical sophistication might be compromising the personal relationships and customized attention that represented our core competitive advantage. I documented these client concerns and developed a comprehensive analysis of how we might maintain our enhanced analytical capabilities while preserving the relationship-focused service approach that had built our reputation in the mid-market consulting space. The analysis included specific recommendations for client communication protocols, service delivery customization, and senior leadership engagement that would address the concerns while leveraging our expanded analytical capabilities. However, when I presented this analysis to my mother and Isabella during our weekly senior staff meeting, the response was less enthusiastic than I had anticipated. Isabella questioned whether the feedback represented legitimate strategic concerns or merely resistance to improved professional standards from clients accustomed to less sophisticated service delivery. My mother seemed torn between her traditional emphasis on client relationships and her obvious appreciation for Isabella's systematic approach to business development. The meeting concluded with a decision to conduct a comprehensive client satisfaction survey that would provide objective data about service delivery preferences and identify areas for potential improvement. While this approach was methodologically sound, it also delayed addressing the concerns that Morrison and other clients had raised, potentially creating risks for client retention and revenue stability. The Client Satisfaction Survey project became another arena for competition between Isabella and me, with fundamentally different approaches that highlighted our contrasting perspectives on client relationship management. Isabella developed a sophisticated survey instrument that included quantitative metrics, statistical analysis frameworks, and benchmarking comparisons with industry standards. Her approach was comprehensive and methodologically rigorous, designed to provide objective data that would guide strategic decision-making. My alternative approach emphasized qualitative research methodologies, including in-depth interviews with key clients, focus group discussions, and observational analysis of client interactions during meetings and project collaborations. This approach would provide deeper insights into client satisfaction drivers and reveal concerns that might not emerge through standardized survey questions. The debate over survey methodologies consumed several weeks of senior staff meetings and revealed fundamental philosophical differences about client relationship management and business development strategy. Isabella argued that objective data and statistical analysis provided the most reliable foundation for strategic planning and operational improvements. I contended that client relationships were inherently personal and required qualitative understanding that could not be captured through quantitative methodologies alone. My mother's response to this debate was revealing in ways that extended beyond the immediate survey design questions. She consistently expressed admiration for Isabella's analytical rigor and systematic thinking, while treating my qualitative approach as less sophisticated and potentially unreliable. The implicit message was that my traditional relationship-focused methods were outdated compared to Isabella's consulting-based methodologies. The resolution involved implementing both survey approaches simultaneously, with Isabella leading the quantitative research component while I managed the qualitative interviews and focus groups. This compromise allowed us to gather comprehensive data while avoiding the appearance of favoring either approach over the other. However, the process of reaching this resolution had clearly established Isabella as the preferred strategic thinker and positioned my contributions as supplementary rather than central to our analytical capabilities. The client research project consumed 3 months of intensive work and generated findings that supported both of our perspectives while revealing complex client satisfaction dynamics that required nuanced strategic responses. The quantitative data confirmed that clients valued our enhanced analytical capabilities and appreciated the improved reporting systems that Isabella had implemented. However, the qualitative research revealed concerns about reduced personal attention and decreased access to senior leadership that were affecting client loyalty and expansion opportunities. Most significantly, the research identified a subset of clients who were actively considering alternative marketing consultancy providers due to concerns about the evolution of Sterling & Associates' service delivery approach. These clients represented approximately 25% of our annual revenue and included several long-term relationships that formed the foundation of our business stability and growth prospects. The presentation of these research findings to the senior staff and board of directors created an opportunity for me to demonstrate strategic thinking capabilities and propose comprehensive solutions that addressed the identified concerns. I developed a detailed client retention strategy that included enhanced senior leadership engagement, customized service delivery protocols, and relationship management initiatives that would preserve our competitive advantage while maintaining the analytical capabilities that Isabella had introduced. However, Isabella simultaneously presented an alternative strategy that emphasized operational efficiency improvements, standardized service delivery processes, and systematic client communication protocols that would scale more effectively as Sterling & Associates expanded into new geographic markets. Her approach was designed to maintain client satisfaction while reducing the resource intensity of customized service delivery that might become unsustainable as our client base grew. The board of directors' response to these competing strategic Presentations revealed the extent to which Isabella had established credibility and influence within Sterling and Associates' leadership structure. Her systematic approach and scalability focus aligned with the expansion objectives that represented the company's primary strategic priority, while my relationship-focused strategy appeared to prioritize existing client satisfaction over growth opportunities. The decision to adopt Isabella's strategic framework, with minor modifications incorporating some of my relationship management recommendations, represented a clear victory for her analytical approach and systematic thinking capabilities. More importantly, the decision process had established her as the primary strategic planner for Sterling and Associates and positioned my contributions as tactical implementation support rather than strategic leadership. The psychological impact of this outcome was profound and multifaceted, affecting both my professional confidence and my understanding of my role within the family business structure. I had invested substantial effort in developing what I believed were sophisticated strategic recommendations based on comprehensive client research, only to have my approach characterized as less rigorous and scalable than Isabella's consulting-based methodologies. The experience forced me to confront uncomfortable realities about my professional capabilities and competitive positioning within Sterling and Associates. Isabella's superior analytical skills, strategic thinking abilities, and systematic approach to business development clearly exceeded my relationship-focused capabilities and institutional knowledge. The competition between us was not merely about family dynamics or succession planning, but represented a genuine assessment of our respective qualifications for executive leadership. This recognition was both devastating and motivating, creating an intense determination to prove my value through exceptional performance and strategic thinking that could compete with Isabella's consulting expertise. I began investing significant personal time in advanced marketing education, strategic planning methodologies, and analytical tools that would enhance my capabilities and demonstrate my commitment to professional development. The summer months brought additional challenges as the Milwaukee and Indianapolis expansion project entered its implementation phase under Isabella's leadership. The project was proceeding successfully, with lease agreements finalized, staff, hiring completed, and client development activities generating promising initial results. Isabella's management of this complex initiative demonstrated executive capabilities that clearly impressed my mother and the board of directors while establishing her reputation as an effective operational leader. My role in the expansion project was limited to supporting client transition activities and providing institutional knowledge about Sterling and Associates service delivery standards. While these contributions were valuable, they positioned me as a tactical resource rather than a strategic leader, and reinforced the perception that my capabilities were best suited for implementation rather than planning and oversight. The most painful aspect of this period was observing the deepening professional and personal relationship between my mother and Isabella. Their collaboration on strategic planning, operational development, and business expansion activities had created a partnership that clearly energized my mother and provided her with intellectual stimulation that our previous working relationship had apparently lacked. Isabella's sophisticated analytical capabilities and strategic thinking approaches had introduced new dimensions to Sterling and Associates leadership that my mother found both challenging and rewarding. The personal dimension of their relationship was equally concerning, as my mother increasingly turned to Isabella for advice on both business and personal matters, while gradually reducing the frequency and depth of our private conversations. The transformation felt like a fundamental alteration of family dynamics that extended beyond professional competition to encompass emotional and psychological displacement. As autumn approached, I found myself working within a business environment where my historical advantages had been systematically eliminated while my competitive disadvantages had been consistently highlighted. The institutional knowledge and client relationships that had previously represented my primary value proposition were increasingly viewed as less important than analytical capabilities and strategic planning expertise that Isabella possessed. in abundance. The challenge was no longer simply about competing for leadership succession, but about maintaining relevance within a business structure that was evolving in directions that favored Isabella's strengths while minimizing my contributions. The question was whether I could develop new capabilities and demonstrate value that would justify my continued involvement in Sterling and Associates leadership, or whether my future required accepting a diminished role within the family business that had defined my identity and career aspirations. The autumn of 2019 marked a period of profound transformation in the Sterling family dynamics that extended far beyond professional competition to encompass fundamental changes in personal relationships and emotional allegiances. The business success that Isabella had achieved through her strategic leadership of the expansion project had created a foundation for deeper personal connections with my mother that threatened to redefine the very essence of our family structure. The first indication of this evolving relationship dynamic emerged during the company's annual retreat in October, held at a resort conference center in Wisconsin's Door County Peninsula. The retreat had been a Sterling and Associates tradition for 12 years, serving as both a strategic planning session and a team-building experience that reinforced the family business culture that differentiated our company from larger consulting firms. Previous retreats had featured my mother and me presenting strategic initiatives and operational updates as the natural leadership team, with other staff members contributing specialized expertise within their respective areas of responsibility. This year's retreat followed a dramatically different format that reflected the new power structure within Sterling and Associates. Isabella delivered the opening presentation about market expansion opportunities, accompanied by sophisticated financial projections and competitive analysis that demonstrated mastery of strategic planning methodologies typically associated with Fortune 500 corporations rather than mid-sized family businesses. Her presentation style was polished and authoritative, commanding attention and respect from staff members who had previously viewed family leadership through the lens of inherited authority rather than demonstrated competence. My role in the retreat programming was limited to providing operational updates about existing client relationships and supporting Isabella's strategic presentations with tactical implementation details. The contrast between our respective contributions was stark and professionally humiliating, positioning me as a competent operational manager rather than a strategic leader capable of guiding Sterling and Associates through complex business challenges. However, the most significant development during the retreat was not the professional positioning, but the personal dynamics that became evident during informal social interactions and private conversations. Isabella and my mother had developed a relationship characterized by intellectual compatibility, shared professional interests, and mutual admiration that created an exclusivity that felt both natural and deliberately isolating to others, particularly myself. During the evening social activities, I observed Isabella and my mother engaged in animated discussions about business strategy, industry trends, and professional development opportunities, with an intensity and engagement that I had never witnessed in my mother's interactions with other colleagues or family members. Their conversations demonstrated not only professional respect, but genuine personal affection and intellectual stimulation that transcended typical supervisor-employee relationships. The realization that my mother was experiencing a level of professional and personal fulfillment through her relationship with Isabella that she had never achieved through our mother-daughter working partnership was both devastating and enlightening. Isabella provided intellectual challenge, strategic sophistication, and analytical rigor that complemented my mother's business acumen, while pushing her to consider innovative approaches and advanced methodologies that I had never been able to offer. More troubling was the apparent ease with which Isabella had integrated herself into family traditions and personal routines that I had assumed were reserved for blood relatives. She participated in family holiday planning, contributed to important decision-making conversations, and received confidential information about business and personal matters that had previously been shared exclusively between my mother and me. The shift in family dynamics became particularly apparent during Thanksgiving preparations, when Isabella was included in menu planning, guest invitation decisions, and traditional family activities with the same level of involvement typically reserved for immediate family members. Her participation felt natural and welcome to my mother, but created an uncomfortable sense of displacement and replacement that I struggled to address without appearing petty or unreasonably possessive. The Thanksgiving dinner itself became a symbolic representation of the transformed family structure, with Isabella occupying a seat at the table that positioned her as an equal family member, rather than a recent addition to our extended family unit. The conversation topics focused heavily on business strategy and professional accomplishments, areas where Isabella's contributions consistently commanded more attention and admiration than my own observations and experiences. During the dinner conversation, my mother shared a story about Isabella's recent client presentation that had secured a significant new account for the Indianapolis office, describing Isabella's strategic thinking and presentation skills with obvious pride and maternal satisfaction. When I attempted to share similar professional accomplishments from my own client work, the response was polite, but noticeably less enthusiastic, creating an uncomfortable comparison that highlighted the different levels of engagement and appreciation that our respective achievements generated. The psychological impact of these family gatherings was compounded by my growing awareness that Isabella's relationship with my mother was fulfilling emotional needs that our mother-daughter relationship had apparently never satisfied. Isabella provided intellectual stimulation, professional collaboration, and strategic partnership that energized my mother in ways that I had never been able to achieve despite years of working together and sharing personal and professional experiences. The recognition that my mother had found in Isabella the type of professional and personal connection that she had been seeking throughout her career was simultaneously heartbreaking and illuminating. Isabella represented the sophisticated business partner that my mother had needed to take Sterling and Associates to the next level of strategic development and market expansion, while I had remained limited to operational execution and client relationship management that, while valuable, did not provide the intellectual challenge or strategic depth that my mother apparently craved. The winter months brought additional evidence of the deepening bond between my mother and Isabella, through their collaboration on a comprehensive strategic planning initiative that would guide Sterling and Associates through the next 5 years of growth and development. The project involved analyzing market opportunities, competitive positioning, technological advancement needs, and organizational development requirements that would position the company for continued success in an increasingly competitive consulting environment. Isabella's leadership of this strategic planning process demonstrated executive capabilities that clearly exceeded my own analytical and planning skills, while providing my mother with the type of sophisticated business partnership that she had never experienced during her years of family business leadership. Their collaborative work sessions were characterized by intellectual intensity, creative problem-solving, and strategic innovation that produced outcomes superior to anything that Sterling and Associates had previously achieved through traditional family business planning approaches. My exclusion from the strategic planning process was not explicitly communicated, but became apparent through my lack of involvement in planning meetings, strategic research activities, and decision-making conversations that were shaping the future direction of Sterling and Associates. The message was clear. My contributions were valued for operational execution and client relationship maintenance, but my strategic thinking capabilities were not considered essential to the company's long-term planning and development needs. The completion of the strategic planning process in February resulted in a comprehensive business plan that outlined ambitious growth objectives, sophisticated operational improvements, and strategic initiatives that would transform Sterling and Associates from a regional family business into a multi-state consulting firm capable of competing with larger corporate competitors. Isabella's analytical framework and strategic recommendations formed the foundation of the plan, while my contributions were limited to providing operational feasibility assessments and client relationship considerations. The board of directors Enthusiastic approval of the strategic plan represented both a validation of Isabella's capabilities and an implicit endorsement of her leadership role within Sterling and Associates. The plan's sophistication and strategic depth clearly impressed the external board members while providing a roadmap for growth that exceeded anything the company had previously attempted under traditional family leadership approaches. However, the most significant aspect of the strategic planning outcome was not the business implications, but the personal satisfaction and pride that my mother expressed regarding Isabella's contributions to the process. Her public acknowledgement of Isabella's strategic thinking capabilities, analytical skills, and leadership potential was delivered with the same tone of maternal pride and professional admiration that I had always hoped to inspire through my own contributions to Sterling and Associates. The spring months brought the implementation phase of the strategic plan, with Isabella assuming primary responsibility for coordinating the various initiatives while managing the expansion operations and maintaining her existing client responsibilities. Her ability to handle multiple complex projects simultaneously while delivering superior results in each area demonstrated executive capabilities that clearly positioned her as the natural choice for future leadership succession. My role during the implementation phase involved supporting various tactical activities while continuing to manage my existing client relationships and operational responsibilities. While these contributions were necessary and valuable, they reinforced my positioning as a competent operational manager rather than a strategic leader capable of guiding Sterling and Associates through complex business transformation initiatives. The psychological toll of observing Isabella's continued success while experiencing my own professional marginalization began affecting other aspects of my life, including personal relationships, social activities, and long-term career planning. The assumption that I would eventually inherit leadership of Sterling and Associates had provided structure and purpose to my professional development efforts, personal relationships, and financial planning decisions. The erosion of this assumption required fundamental reassessment of my future objectives and life direction. The emotional isolation that accompanied my professional displacement was intensified by my reluctance to discuss these challenges with friends, colleagues, or family members who might interpret my concerns as professional jealousy or personal inadequacy. The nature of family business dynamics made it difficult to seek objective advice or emotional support without revealing confidential information about Sterling and Associates operations or creating uncomfortable social situations for others who knew both Isabella and me. During this period of professional and personal uncertainty, I began questioning fundamental assumptions about family loyalty, business succession, and the relationship between blood relationships and leadership qualifications. The evidence suggested that Isabella's superior capabilities and strategic thinking abilities made her the better choice for Sterling and Associates leadership, regardless of my family connection and historical involvement with the company. The recognition that merit-based leadership selection might result in my displacement from the family business required a level of intellectual honesty and emotional maturity that challenged every assumption I had made about my professional future and personal identity. The possibility that my mother's business decisions were based on competence rather than family loyalty was both professionally disappointing and ethically admirable, forcing me to confront the uncomfortable reality that my expectations of inherited leadership might have been both naive and inappropriate. As summer approached, I found myself working within a business environment where my historical advantages had been systematically eliminated, while my competitive disadvantages had been consistently highlighted. The institutional knowledge and client relationships that had previously represented my primary value proposition were increasingly viewed as less important than strategic thinking capabilities and analytical skills that Isabella possessed in abundance. The challenge was no longer simply about competing for leadership succession, but about maintaining dignity and professional satisfaction while accepting a diminished role within the family business that had defined my identity and career aspirations. The question was whether I could find meaning and purpose in supporting Isabella's leadership while pursuing personal fulfillment through alternative professional opportunities that might emerge from this unexpected career transition. The summer of 2020 brought with it a series of pivotal developments that would ultimately determine the succession question at Sterling & Associates while testing the limits of my resilience and strategic thinking capabilities. The company's financial performance had reached record levels, driven largely by the successful expansion into Milwaukee and Indianapolis markets under Isabella's leadership, while the strategic initiatives from her comprehensive business plan were generating measurable improvements in operational efficiency and client satisfaction metrics. My response to these challenging circumstances involved a comprehensive reinvention of my professional approach, strategic positioning, and value proposition within Sterling & Associates. The recognition that competing directly with Isabella's analytical capabilities and strategic planning expertise would be futile led me to develop alternative approaches that leveraged my unique strengths while addressing business needs that her consulting background had not fully addressed. The opportunity to demonstrate this evolved strategic thinking emerged through a crisis that threatened one of Sterling & Associates' most significant client relationships. Hartwell Industries, a manufacturing conglomerate that represented nearly $800,000 in annual billings, was experiencing severe operational challenges related to supply chain disruptions and competitive pressures that were affecting their market position and financial performance. Their CEO, Margaret Hartwell, had requested emergency strategic consulting support to address these challenges while maintaining their existing marketing initiatives. Isabella's initial response to the Hartwell Industries crisis followed her typical analytical framework, involving comprehensive market research, competitive analysis, and strategic planning methodologies that would provide systematic solutions to their operational challenges. Her approach was thorough and methodologically sound, but the timeline for developing and implementing these solutions extended beyond the urgent time frame that Hartwell Industries required to address their immediate crisis. My alternative approach recognized that Hartwell Industries needed immediate tactical solutions that could be implemented quickly while longer-term strategic planning proceeded simultaneously. This approach required deep understanding of their industry dynamics, existing operational capabilities, and corporate culture that could only be developed through years of client relationship management and institutional knowledge accumulation. The strategic intervention I proposed involved leveraging my 8-year relationship with Hartwell Industries to develop rapid response solutions that address their most urgent challenges while creating foundation for longer-term strategic improvements. This approach emphasized practical implementation over theoretical analysis, immediate results over comprehensive planning, and relationship-based problem-solving over systematic consulting methodologies. The presentation of these competing approaches to my mother and the senior leadership team created the most significant professional opportunity I had experienced since Isabella's arrival at Sterling & Associates. The contrast between our methodologies highlighted different philosophical approaches to client service while demonstrating alternative forms of strategic thinking that could address complex business challenges through different pathways. Isabella's presentation was characteristically sophisticated, featuring detailed analytical frameworks, comprehensive market research, and systematic implementation plans that reflected her McKinsey training and consulting expertise. Her approach was impressive and thorough, providing Hartwell Industries with strategic solutions that would address their challenges through carefully planned and methodologically rigorous interventions. My presentation emphasized immediate practical solutions, relationship-based problem-solving, and tactical interventions that could generate rapid results while more comprehensive strategic planning proceeded. The approach leveraged my institutional knowledge of Hartwell Industries operations, corporate culture, and decision-making processes to develop solutions that could be implemented immediately without extensive planning phases or analytical preparation. The response to these competing presentations revealed important insights about Sterling and Associates' strategic positioning and competitive advantages in the mid-market consulting space. While Isabella's analytical approach was impressive and methodologically sound, several board members questioned whether it adequately addressed the urgent timeline and practical constraints that Hartwell Industries faced in their current crisis situation. The decision to implement a hybrid approach that combined Isabella's strategic planning capabilities with my relationship-based tactical interventions represented a significant validation of my value proposition while acknowledging the complementary nature of our different approaches to client service. More importantly, the decision process established that my institutional knowledge and client relationship management capabilities represented strategic assets that could not be easily replicated or replaced through external consulting expertise. Third, implementation of the Hartwell Industries intervention became a collaborative project that showcased both Isabella's analytical capabilities and my practical problem-solving skills, while demonstrating how our different approaches could be integrated to provide superior client service. The project's success generated significant positive feedback from Hartwell Industries leadership, while reinforcing Sterling and Associates' reputation for innovative client service and strategic flexibility. However, the most significant outcome of the Hartwell Industries project was not the successful client intervention, but the recognition that my contributions to Sterling and Associates extended beyond operational execution to include strategic thinking capabilities that complemented Isabella's consulting expertise. The project had demonstrated that effective client service required both analytical sophistication and relationship-based understanding, suggesting that optimal leadership might involve collaboration rather than replacement. This recognition created an opportunity for me to reposition my role within Sterling and Associates from threatened successor to essential strategic partner, emphasizing complementary capabilities rather than competitive displacement. The approach required abandoning my assumptions about inherited leadership while embracing a collaborative model that leveraged both Isabella's and my respective strengths to create superior client service capabilities. The psychological adjustment to this alternative career trajectory was challenging, but ultimately liberating, requiring me to release attachment to predetermined outcomes while embracing opportunities for professional growth and strategic contribution that I had not previously considered. The recognition that leadership succession might involve partnership rather than replacement opened possibilities for continued involvement in Sterling and Associates management while pursuing professional fulfillment through alternative pathways. The autumn months brought additional opportunities to demonstrate this evolved strategic thinking through client service innovations and business development initiatives that leveraged my relationship management capabilities while supporting Isabella's analytical frameworks. The integration of our different approaches generated client satisfaction improvements and revenue growth that exceeded the results achieved through either methodology independently. The annual performance review process in October provided a formal opportunity to document these strategic contributions and establish my value proposition within the evolved Sterling and Associates organizational structure. The review process involved comprehensive evaluation of client satisfaction metrics, revenue generation, operational efficiency, and strategic thinking contributions that would determine compensation adjustments and role assignments for the coming year. My performance review preparation involved documenting specific achievements that demonstrated strategic thinking capabilities beyond traditional account management responsibilities. The portfolio included client relationship innovations, process improvements, strategic recommendations, and collaborative projects that had generated measurable value for Sterling and Associates and its clients. The review meeting with my mother revealed important insights about her perspective on my professional development and strategic contributions during the challenging period following Isabella's arrival. Her feedback acknowledged the difficulty of the transition while recognizing the professional growth and strategic thinking evolution that I had demonstrated through recent client service innovations and collaborative projects. Most significantly, My mother's assessment included recognition that my approach to the Hartwell Industries crisis had demonstrated strategic thinking capabilities that complemented Isabella's analytical expertise while providing unique value that could not be replicated through consulting methodologies alone. This feedback represented the first explicit acknowledgement that my contributions extended beyond operational execution to include strategic value that was essential to Sterling and Associates' competitive advantage. The performance review concluded with a promotion to Senior Account Director, a newly created position that recognized my strategic contributions while providing increased responsibility for client relationship management and business development activities. The promotion included significant compensation increases and expanded authority over client service delivery, representing meaningful career advancement despite my concerns about succession planning. However, the most important aspect of the promotion was not the title or compensation, but the implicit recognition that my role within Sterling and Associates was secure and strategically valuable, regardless of succession planning decisions. The promotion suggested that professional fulfillment and career advancement were possible through alternative pathways that did not require inheriting executive leadership. The winter months brought intensive collaboration with Isabella on strategic planning initiatives for the coming year, including expansion of the Milwaukee and Indianapolis operations, development of new service offerings, and implementation of technological improvements that would enhance Sterling and Associates' competitive capabilities. The collaborative process demonstrated how our different approaches could be integrated to create superior strategic outcomes while building professional relationships based on mutual respect rather than competitive tension. The strategic planning process revealed that Isabella's consulting expertise and my institutional knowledge created synergistic capabilities that exceeded what either of us could achieve independently. Her analytical frameworks provided systematic approaches to complex challenges, while my relationship management experience provided practical implementation guidance and client service insights that enhanced the effectiveness of strategic interventions. This recognition led to development of a formal partnership model that would guide our future collaboration on client service delivery and strategic planning initiatives. The partnership model emphasized complementary capabilities while establishing clear areas of responsibility and decision-making authority that would prevent conflicts while maximizing our combined strategic value. The partnership discussions also revealed Isabella's perspective on our professional relationship and her recognition of my strategic contributions to Sterling and Associates' success. Her feedback acknowledged the value of my institutional knowledge and client relationship management capabilities, while expressing genuine appreciation for the collaborative approach we had developed during recent projects. Most importantly, Isabella's assessment included recognition that effective leadership of Sterling and Associates would require both analytical sophistication and relationship-based understanding, suggesting that optimal management might involve shared responsibility rather than individual succession. This perspective aligned with my evolved understanding of professional fulfillment and career advancement possibilities within the family business structure. As spring approached, the question of succession planning remained unresolved, but the dynamics had shifted from competitive displacement to collaborative partnership. The recognition that Sterling and Associates' success required both Isabella's analytical capabilities and my relationship management expertise had created opportunities for shared leadership that preserved my involvement while acknowledging her strategic planning superiority. The challenge was no longer about winning or losing the succession competition, but about defining leadership roles that leveraged our respective strengths while ensuring Sterling and Associates' continued growth and competitive advantage. The possibility of shared leadership represented an outcome that I had not previously considered, but that offered professional fulfillment and strategic contribution without requiring victory over Isabella's obviously superior analytical capabilities. However, the ultimate decision about succession planning remained with my mother, whose perspective on leadership requirements and family business management would determine whether the collaborative model we had developed would translate into formal organizational structure. The approaching summer would bring resolution to questions that had defined my professional anxiety and career uncertainty for nearly 2 years, while providing clarity about my future role within the family business that had shaped my identity and professional aspirations since childhood. The announcement came during what appeared to be a routine senior staff meeting on a Tuesday morning in June 2020. 18 months after Isabella had joined Sterling & Associates and fundamentally altered the trajectory of my professional life. My mother had scheduled the meeting ostensibly to discuss quarterly performance results and strategic planning updates for the third quarter, but the formal tone of her invitation and the inclusion of the entire senior management team suggested that more significant matters would be addressed. The conference room atmosphere was unusually tense as the senior staff assembled, with conversations notably subdued and expressions reflecting the underlying awareness that important decisions affecting the company's future leadership structure were likely to be announced. Isabella and I exchanged polite greetings but avoided the extended conversations that had become characteristic of our improved professional relationship during recent months of collaborative project work. My mother began the meeting with comprehensive financial presentations that demonstrated Sterling & Associates' exceptional performance during the first half of 2020, including record revenue growth, expanded client base, and successful implementation of strategic initiatives that had strengthened the company's competitive position throughout the Midwest region. The Milwaukee and Indianapolis offices were exceeding their initial performance projections, while client satisfaction metrics had reached historically high levels across all service categories. The presentation of these positive results created an atmosphere of celebration and professional pride that masked the underlying tension regarding succession planning decisions that everyone understood were approaching. The financial success provided clear validation of recent strategic decisions, while establishing a foundation for discussing organizational changes that would guide Sterling & Associates through its next phase of growth and development. Following the financial review, my mother announced that the board of directors had approved a comprehensive organizational restructuring plan designed to position Sterling & Associates for continued expansion while establishing clear leadership succession protocols that would ensure management continuity and strategic stability. The restructuring would involve creation of new executive positions, redefinition of existing roles, and implementation of formal succession planning processes that would guide the company's leadership transition over the coming years. The announcement of my promotion to Executive Vice President of Client Relations represented recognition of my strategic contributions and relationship management capabilities while establishing my role as a senior executive within the Sterling & Associates leadership structure. The position included responsibility for managing all client relationships across the company's 3 locations, overseeing account management teams, and developing client service innovations that would enhance Sterling & Associates' competitive advantage in the consulting marketplace. However, the most significant aspect of the organizational restructuring was the announcement that Isabella would assume the newly created position of Executive Vice President of Strategic Development, with responsibility for long-term planning, business development, operational efficiency, and market expansion initiatives. The position represented formal recognition of Isabella's analytical capabilities and strategic thinking expertise while establishing her authority over the company's most critical growth and development functions. The dual executive appointments appeared to represent the collaborative leadership model that Isabella and I had developed during recent months, with clearly defined areas of responsibility that leveraged our respective strengths while avoiding direct competition for overlapping authority. The structure provided both of us with significant executive roles while acknowledging our complementary capabilities and strategic value to Sterling & Associates' continued success. My initial response to these announcements was relief and satisfaction that my concerns about professional displacement had been addressed through a solution that preserved my involvement in Sterling & Associates leadership while recognizing Isabella's superior strategic planning capabilities. The Executive Vice President position represented meaningful career advancement while providing opportunities for professional fulfillment through client relationship management and business development activities that aligned with my natural strengths and interests. However, the meeting continued with additional announcements that fundamentally altered my understanding of the organizational restructuring and its implications for succession planning. My mother announced that she would be transitioning from her role as Chief Executive Officer to Chairman of the Board over the next 12 months, with executive leadership responsibilities transferred to a new CEO who would guide Sterling and Associates through its next phase of strategic development and market expansion. The appointment of Isabella as Chief Executive Officer, effective January 2021, represented the culmination of her remarkable ascension within Sterling and Associates, and the definitive resolution of succession planning questions that had dominated my professional concerns for nearly 2 years. The announcement was delivered with obvious pride and confidence in Isabella's capabilities, accompanied by detailed explanations of her qualifications and strategic vision for the company's future development. The psychological impact of this announcement was profound and multifaceted, encompassing professional disappointment, personal rejection, and existential questioning of my identity and future prospects within the family business structure. The recognition that Isabella would assume the leadership position I had expected to inherit represented not merely a career setback, but a fundamental alteration of my understanding of family relationships, business dynamics, and personal worth within the Sterling family enterprise. My mother's explanation of the succession decision emphasized Isabella's superior analytical capabilities, strategic thinking expertise, and leadership qualifications while acknowledging my valuable contributions to client relationship management and operational excellence. The rationale was presented as the objective assessment of leadership requirements, rather than a personal judgment about family loyalty or inherited privilege. But the distinction provided limited comfort given the magnitude of the professional and personal implications. The announcement concluded with expressions of confidence in the new leadership structure and expectations for continued collaboration between Isabella and me in our respective executive roles. My mother emphasized the complementary nature of our capabilities and the importance of our partnership in ensuring Sterling and Associates' continued growth and competitive advantage, presenting the organizational restructuring as an optimal solution that leveraged everyone's strengths while addressing the company's strategic needs. The staff response to the succession announcements was professionally appropriate, but revealed underlying tensions and concerns about the implications of appointing a relative newcomer to the chief executive position. Several long-term employees, who had worked closely with me for years, expressed private reservations about the leadership transition, while others acknowledged Isabella's obvious qualifications and strategic contributions to the company's recent success. The remainder of the meeting involved detailed discussions of implementation timelines, transition responsibilities, and communication strategies for announcing the organizational changes to clients, vendors, and industry contacts. The planning process was thorough and professionally managed, reflecting the same analytical approach that characterized Isabella's strategic thinking while ensuring smooth implementation of the leadership transition. Following the meeting, I requested a private conversation with my mother to discuss the succession decision and its implications for my continued involvement with Sterling and Associates. The conversation took place in her executive office, the same space where I had participated in countless strategic discussions and family business planning sessions throughout my career with the company. My mother's explanation of her decision-making process was candid and comprehensive, acknowledging the difficulty of choosing between family loyalty and business requirements, while emphasizing her responsibility to ensure Sterling and Associates' continued success and competitive advantage. She expressed genuine appreciation for my contributions to the company while explaining why Isabella's qualifications made her the optimal choice for executive leadership during the company's current phase of strategic development. The conversation revealed my mother's perspective on leadership requirements and business management that differed significantly from my assumptions about family business succession and inherited privilege. Her assessment emphasized analytical capabilities, strategic thinking expertise, and systematic planning abilities as essential qualifications for executive leadership, while positioning relationship management and operational excellence as valuable, but insufficient credentials for chief executive responsibilities. Most significantly, my mother's explanation included recognition that her decision represented a fundamental shift in Sterling and Associates' management philosophy from family-based leadership to merit-based executive selection. The transition reflected her commitment to ensuring the company's continued growth and competitive advantage through optimal leadership selection, rather than traditional succession planning based on family relationships and inherited privilege. The personal dimension of our conversation was equally revealing, as my mother expressed her perspective on our relationship and her expectations for my continued involvement with Sterling and Associates under Isabella's leadership. Her comments reflected genuine affection and appreciation for my contributions, while acknowledging the challenges and disappointments associated with the succession decision. However, the most difficult aspect of our conversation was my mother's admission that her relationship with Isabella had provided professional and personal fulfillment that our mother-daughter partnership had never achieved. Isabella's analytical capabilities and strategic thinking expertise had introduced intellectual stimulation and collaborative opportunities that had reinvigorated my mother's enthusiasm for business leadership, while providing the type of sophisticated partnership she had sought throughout her career. This recognition was simultaneously devastating and illuminating, revealing that my professional relationship with my mother had been limited by my capabilities rather than her expectations or family dynamics. Isabella had not displaced me through manipulation or political maneuvering, but through genuine superior qualifications and strategic thinking abilities that better aligned with my mother's leadership requirements and professional aspirations. The conversation concluded with my mother's assurance that my continued involvement with Sterling and Associates was valued and strategically important, while acknowledging that my career advancement would require adapting to the new organizational structure and leadership hierarchy. The transition would provide opportunities for professional growth and strategic contribution within a framework that leveraged my strengths while supporting Isabella's executive leadership. The weeks following the succession announcement involved intensive planning for the leadership transition and implementation of the new organizational structure. The process required redefining my role and responsibilities within the Executive Vice President framework, while developing collaborative relationships with Isabella that would ensure effective coordination between our respective areas of authority. The psychological adjustment to the succession decision was complex and ongoing, requiring fundamental reassessment of my professional identity, career objectives, and personal worth within the Sterling family enterprise. The recognition that merit-based leadership selection had resulted in my displacement from the chief executive succession required intellectual honesty about my capabilities, while maintaining professional dignity and commitment to Sterling and Associates' continued success. The client communication process regarding the leadership transition provided opportunities to demonstrate my ongoing value to Sterling and Associates, while reinforcing the strength of client relationships that I had developed throughout my career with the company. The positive response from clients who had worked closely with me for years provided validation of my contributions, while confirming the strategic importance of my continued involvement in the company's operations. However, the most significant aspect of the succession decision was not the immediate professional implications, but the long-term questions about my future within Sterling and Associates and my personal fulfillment within a family business structure that had fundamentally altered its approach to leadership and succession planning. The challenge was adapting to a reality where inherited privilege had been replaced by merit-based advancement, while maintaining motivation and professional commitment within the new organizational framework. The transition into my new role as Executive Vice President of Client Relations required a fundamental restructuring of my professional identity and strategic approach to contributing value within Sterling and Associates. The position represented significant executive responsibility while operating within a hierarchy that placed Isabella's strategic authority above my operational excellence. This dynamic demanded psychological resilience and professional maturity that tested every assumption I had maintained about leadership, success, and personal fulfillment within family business structures. The initial weeks of Isabella's CEO transition period during the summer of 2020 provided opportunities to observe her executive leadership style while adapting my own management approach to complement her strategic vision. Isabella's approach to chief executive responsibilities emphasized systematic analysis, comprehensive planning, and data-driven decision-making that reflected her consulting background and MBA training. Her leadership meetings were characterized by detailed presentations, quantitative performance metrics, and strategic frameworks that elevated Sterling and Associates' management sophistication beyond anything the company had previously experienced. My adaptation to Isabella's leadership style required developing new capabilities in strategic communication, analytical reporting, and systematic planning that would demonstrate my value within her executive framework. The challenge involved maintaining my relationship-focused approach to client management, while incorporating the analytical rigor and strategic thinking that Isabella expected from senior executives. This integration demanded professional development, efforts that extended my capabilities beyond traditional account management toward more sophisticated business leadership competencies. The client relationship management responsibilities inherent in my new position provided opportunities to demonstrate strategic thinking that complemented Isabella's analytical approach, while leveraging my institutional knowledge and relationship building capabilities. My comprehensive review of Sterling and Associates' client portfolio revealed opportunities for revenue expansion, service customization, and relationship deepening that could generate significant growth while reinforcing our competitive advantage in the mid-market consulting space. The development of a strategic client relationship management framework became my primary contribution to Isabella's executive team during the transition period. This framework emphasized systematic relationship development, predictive analytics, for client retention, and strategic account planning that aligned client needs with Sterling and Associates' service capabilities. The approach demonstrated how relationship management could be elevated from tactical execution to strategic business development through analytical sophistication and systematic planning. The implementation of this client relationship framework generated measurable improvements in client satisfaction metrics, account expansion opportunities, and revenue predictability that validated my strategic contributions while supporting Isabella's growth objectives for Sterling and Associates. The success of these initiatives provided evidence that my capabilities extended beyond traditional account management to include strategic thinking and analytical competencies that were essential to the company's continued development. However, the most significant challenge during the adaptation period was not professional but personal, as I struggled to reconcile my expectations of inherited leadership with the reality of merit-based succession planning. The psychological adjustment required abandoning assumptions about family privilege while embracing opportunities for professional fulfillment through alternative pathways that did not involve chief executive authority. The process of redefining professional success and personal satisfaction within the new organizational structure demanded emotional maturity and intellectual honesty that challenged fundamental beliefs about career advancement and personal worth. The recognition that Isabella's appointment as CEO reflected superior qualifications rather than family favoritism required accepting limitations in my own capabilities while identifying alternative sources of professional fulfillment and strategic contribution. The development of this evolved perspective was facilitated through mentorship relationships with other executives who had navigated similar challenges in family business environments. These conversations provided insights into alternative career trajectories, leadership development opportunities, and strategies for maintaining professional motivation within hierarchical structures that did not align with initial expectations or assumptions. The autumn months brought additional responsibilities, as Isabella's strategic initiatives required increased coordination between client relationship management and business development activities. My role in supporting these initiatives provided opportunities to demonstrate collaborative leadership and strategic thinking that contributed to Sterling and Associates' continued growth while reinforcing the complementary nature of our respective capabilities. The expansion of Sterling and Associates service offerings under Isabella's leadership created new opportunities for client relationship development that aligned with my strengths while supporting her strategic vision for the company's future growth. The integration of advanced analytical services, strategic planning consulting, and operational efficiency consulting provided additional value propositions for existing clients, while attracting new accounts that appreciated our enhanced capabilities. My management of the client relationship aspects of these service expansions generated positive feedback from clients who valued the continuity of personal attention combined with access to sophisticated analytical capabilities. This combination of relationship management and strategic sophistication represented exactly the type of competitive advantage that Isabella's leadership was designed to create, while leveraging my institutional knowledge and client relationship expertise. The successful implementation of these expanded service offerings validated the organizational structure that positioned Isabella as strategic leader, while maintaining my involvement in client relationship management and business development activities. The results demonstrated that effective leadership could involve complementary capabilities rather than competitive displacement, providing professional satisfaction through collaborative success rather than individual authority. The winter months brought opportunities to extend my client relationship management approach to support Sterling and Associates business development activities in new markets and service categories. The challenge involved adapting relationship-building methodologies to attract new clients while maintaining the service quality and personal attention that had historically differentiated our company from larger consulting firms. The development of a comprehensive business development strategy that emphasized relationship building, referral generation, and strategic networking provided opportunities to demonstrate entrepreneurial capabilities that extended beyond traditional account management. The strategy leveraged my understanding of client needs and industry dynamics while incorporating Isabella's analytical frameworks to create systematic approaches to market development and client acquisition. The implementation of this business development strategy generated significant new client acquisitions while reinforcing Sterling and Associates' reputation for personalized service and strategic sophistication. The success of these initiatives provided evidence that my contributions to the company's growth extended beyond existing client management to include new business development and market expansion capabilities. The recognition of these expanded capabilities led to additional responsibilities for supporting Isabella's strategic planning initiatives, particularly in areas where client relationship insights could inform strategic decision-making and market development activities. This involvement in strategic planning provided opportunities to contribute analytical thinking and strategic recommendations that complemented Isabella's systematic approach while leveraging my practical experience and client knowledge. The collaborative relationship that developed between Isabella and me during this period represented a significant evolution from the competitive dynamics that had characterized our initial interactions. The recognition that our capabilities were complementary rather than competitive created opportunities for professional partnership that enhanced Sterling and Associates' strategic capabilities while providing personal satisfaction through shared success and mutual respect. The spring of 2021 brought formal recognition of my strategic contributions through expansion of my executive responsibilities to include oversight of business development activities and strategic planning support. The promotion to Executive Vice President of Client Relations and Business Development represented acknowledgement that my capabilities extended beyond traditional account management to include strategic thinking and entrepreneurial activities that were essential to Sterling and Associates' continued growth. This expanded role provided opportunities to demonstrate leadership capabilities that had been overshadowed during the competitive period following Isabella's arrival at Sterling and Associates. The challenge involved proving that relationship-focused leadership could be as strategically valuable as analytical sophistication, while contributing to business outcomes that supported Isabella's overall strategic vision for the company. The development of comprehensive business development programs that integrated relationship management, strategic networking, and analytical assessment generated measurable results that validated my strategic contributions while supporting Sterling and Associates' growth objectives. The success of these programs provided evidence that effective leadership could take multiple forms while contributing to shared organizational success. However, the most significant development during this period was not professional advancement, but personal growth that resulted from navigating the challenges of family business succession and professional adaptation. The experience of losing expected inheritance while discovering alternative sources of professional fulfillment had generated resilience, strategic thinking capabilities, and emotional maturity that enhanced my overall leadership effectiveness. The recognition that professional success could be achieved through multiple pathways rather than predetermined succession planning provided freedom to explore entrepreneurial opportunities, strategic innovations, and leadership approaches that extended beyond traditional family business structures. This expanded perspective created possibilities for career development that had not been apparent during my focus on inheriting chief executive authority. The psychological transformation from entitled heir to strategic contributor represented a fundamental shift in professional identity that enhanced my effectiveness while providing greater personal satisfaction through earned success rather than inherited privilege. The experience had demonstrated that authentic leadership development required proving value through performance rather than assuming authority through family relationships. As the first anniversary of Isabella's CEO appointment approached, the month's organizational structure that had initially felt like professional displacement had evolved into a collaborative partnership that leveraged our respective strengths while achieving business results that exceeded historical performance levels. The success of this collaborative model provided validation that effective leadership could involve shared authority and complementary capabilities rather than hierarchical dominance by a single executive. The client relationship metrics under my expanded responsibilities had reached record levels while supporting Isabella's strategic initiatives for market expansion and service development. The combination of relationship management expertise and analytical sophistication had created competitive advantages that positioned Sterling and Associates for continued growth while maintaining the personalized service approach that differentiated our company from larger consulting firms. The recognition that my professional fulfillment had actually increased under the new organizational structure rather than diminished provided important insights into the nature of leadership satisfaction and career development. The opportunity to contribute strategic value while leveraging my natural strengths had generated greater personal satisfaction than the anticipated inheritance of chief executive authority might have provided. The experience had taught me that authentic success required earning respect through demonstrated competence rather than assuming authority through inherited privilege, while effective leadership could be achieved through multiple pathways that leveraged individual strengths rather than competing for predetermined positions. These insights would prove essential as new challenges and opportunities emerged that would test the stability of our collaborative relationship and the sustainability of our shared leadership model. The second year of Isabella's chief executive, leadership established a period of organizational stability and professional equilibrium that demonstrated the effectiveness of our collaborative management structure while generating business results that exceeded all historical performance benchmarks at Sterling and Associates. The company achieved record revenue growth of 32%, expanded its client base to include several Fortune 1000 corporations, and established market leadership positions in Milwaukee and Indianapolis that validated Isabella's strategic vision and execution capabilities. My contributions to this exceptional performance centered on comprehensive client relationship management and business development initiatives that leveraged my expanded authority as Executive Vice President of Client Relations and Business Development. The strategic frameworks I had developed for systematic relationship building and predictive client analytics generated measurable improvements in client retention rates, account expansion opportunities, and referral-based new business acquisition that directly supported Isabella's growth objectives while demonstrating my strategic value within the organizational structure. The most significant achievement during this period involved securing Sterling and Associates' largest client contract in company history through a relationship-based business development approach that culminated in a 3-year strategic consulting agreement with Pinnacle Technologies Corporation. Pinnacle Technologies was a Chicago-based software development company with annual revenues exceeding $150 million, requiring sophisticated marketing strategy and implementation support for their expansion into international markets. The opportunity to pursue Pinnacle Technologies as a client emerged through my professional network and relationship-building activities rather than through traditional business development channels. Michael Chen, Pinnacle Technologies' Chief Marketing Officer, had been referred to me by a mutual contact who recognized the alignment between Pinnacle's strategic consulting needs and Sterling and Associates' enhanced analytical capabilities under Isabella's leadership. The initial discussions with Pinnacle Technologies revealed complex strategic challenges that required both sophisticated analytical frameworks and experienced relationship management to address effectively. Pinnacle was preparing to enter European and Asian markets while simultaneously launching new product lines that would require comprehensive marketing strategy development, brand positioning analysis, and operational implementation support across multiple geographic regions. The scope and complexity of Pinnacle Technologies' consulting requirements demanded collaborative effort between Isabella's strategic planning expertise and my client relationship management capabilities. The proposal development process involved extensive analytical work to understand Pinnacle's competitive positioning, market entry challenges, and operational requirements, while also requiring relationship-building activities to establish trust and demonstrate Sterling and Associates' commitment to Pinnacle's long-term success. Isabella's contribution to the Pinnacle Technologies proposal demonstrated her exceptional analytical capabilities and strategic thinking expertise. She developed comprehensive market analysis frameworks, competitive positioning strategies, and implementation roadmaps that addressed Pinnacle's international expansion requirements with sophistication that impressed their executive team while differentiating Sterling and Associates from larger consulting firms competing for the same contract. My role in the proposal process focused on relationship development, stakeholder engagement, and communication strategies that established personal connections with Pinnacle's leadership team while demonstrating Sterling and Associates' commitment to customized service delivery and long-term partnership. The approach emphasized our family business culture and personalized attention while incorporating Isabella's analytical sophistication to create a value proposition that larger consulting firms could not replicate. The presentation of our proposal to Pinnacle Technologies' Executive Committee represented the culmination of 3 months of intensive collaboration between Isabella and me, showcasing how our complementary capabilities could address complex client challenges through integrated strategic thinking and relationship management. The presentation was delivered jointly, with Isabella presenting the analytical frameworks and strategic recommendations while I addressed implementation approaches and ongoing relationship management protocols. The positive response from Pinnacle Technologies' executive team validated our collaborative approach while demonstrating the competitive advantage created by combining Isabella's consulting expertise with my relationship management capabilities. The feedback emphasized appreciation for both the analytical sophistication of our strategic recommendations and the personal attention and customized service approach that differentiated Sterling and Associates from larger competitors. The contract award to Sterling and Associates represented not only the largest client engagement in company history, but also validation of the organizational structure that positioned Isabella as strategic leader while maintaining my involvement in business development and client relationship activities. The success provided evidence that our collaborative model could generate superior business results while leveraging our respective strengths to create competitive advantages unavailable through individual leadership approaches. The implementation of the Pinnacle Technologies consulting engagement required extensive coordination between Isabella's strategic planning activities and my client relationship management responsibilities. The project involved multiple work streams addressing market research, competitive analysis, brand positioning, operational planning, and implementation support that demanded both analytical rigor and relationship-focused service delivery. Isabella's leadership of the strategic planning components demonstrated her exceptional capabilities in systematic analysis, framework development, and complex problem-solving that justified her appointment as chief executive while generating client satisfaction, that reinforced Sterling & Associates' reputation for analytical sophistication. Her work product consistently exceeded client expectations while establishing new standards for strategic consulting excellence within our organization. My management of the client relationship aspects of the Pinnacle engagement provided opportunities to demonstrate how relationship-focused service delivery could enhance the effectiveness of analytical consulting through improved communication, stakeholder engagement, and implementation support. The approach generated positive feedback from Pinnacle's leadership team while ensuring smooth project execution and maintaining the personal attention that differentiated Sterling & Associates from larger consulting firms. The success of the Pinnacle Technologies engagement led to additional contract extensions and referral opportunities that expanded Sterling & Associates' presence in the technology consulting market while demonstrating the revenue generation potential of our collaborative leadership model. The project served as a case study for how our organizational structure could address complex client challenges while generating exceptional business results through integrated strategic thinking and relationship management. However, the most significant aspect of the Pinnacle engagement was not the financial success, but the professional satisfaction and personal fulfillment I derived from contributing strategic value through my expanded role. The opportunity to participate in high-level strategic consulting while leveraging my relationship management expertise provided career advancement and professional growth that exceeded my initial expectations when Isabella was appointed chief executive. The recognition that my professional development had actually accelerated under Isabella's leadership rather than stagnated provided important insights into the nature of career advancement and personal fulfillment within organizational structures. The collaborative model had created opportunities for skill development, strategic contribution, and leadership experience that might not have been available through traditional succession planning approaches. The autumn of 2021 brought additional recognition of my strategic contributions through industry acknowledgement and professional awards that validated my expertise in client relationship management and business development. The Chicago Marketing Professionals Association recognized my work with the Excellence in Client Relations Award, while the Midwest Business Development Council included me in their annual listing of emerging leaders in professional services. These external recognitions provided validation of my professional capabilities while reinforcing Sterling & Associates' reputation for innovative client service and strategic expertise. The awards generated positive publicity for the company, while establishing my credibility as a strategic contributor within the marketing consulting industry. The industry recognition also created opportunities for speaking engagements, conference presentations, and thought leadership activities that enhanced both my professional profile and Sterling & Associates' market visibility. These activities provided platforms for sharing insights about relationship-based business development, client retention strategies, and collaborative leadership approaches that differentiated our company from competitors while establishing my expertise in these specialized areas. The winter months brought opportunities to expand my strategic contributions through development of new service offerings that leveraged Sterling & Associates' enhanced analytical capabilities while addressing market needs for relationship-focused consulting services. The initiative involved creating specialized consulting packages that combined strategic analysis with ongoing relationship management to provide comprehensive solutions for mid-market clients, seeking both analytical sophistication and personalized attention. The development of these hybrid service offerings required close collaboration with Isabella to ensure alignment with her strategic vision, while incorporating relationship management methodologies that leveraged my expertise and institutional knowledge. The process demonstrated how our complementary capabilities could generate innovative solutions that addressed market opportunities while differentiating Sterling and Associates from both analytical consulting firms and traditional relationship-focused service providers. The market response to these new service offerings exceeded expectations, generating significant client interest and contract opportunities that validated our approach while providing additional revenue streams for Sterling and Associates. The success demonstrated that innovative service development could result from collaborative leadership approaches that leverage diverse capabilities rather than requiring individual executive authority. The spring of 2022 marked the completion of 2 full years under Isabella's chief executive leadership, providing sufficient data to evaluate the effectiveness of our organizational structure and collaborative management approach. The performance metrics were exceptional across all measurement categories, including revenue growth, client satisfaction, market expansion, and operational efficiency improvements that positioned Sterling and Associates as a recognized leader in mid-market consulting services. My contributions to this exceptional performance were formally recognized through promotion to Senior Executive Vice President, a newly created position that acknowledged my strategic value while providing expanded authority over business development, client relations, and strategic planning activities. The promotion included significant compensation increases and equity participation that reflected my contributions to Sterling and Associates' success while providing long-term financial incentives aligned with the company's continued growth. The promotion announcement was accompanied by public recognition of my role in Sterling and Associates' business development success, including specific acknowledgement of the Pinnacle Technologies engagement and other major client acquisitions that had resulted from my relationship management and strategic networking activities. The recognition provided validation of my professional capabilities while reinforcing my value within the organizational structure. However, the most meaningful aspect of the promotion was not the title or compensation, but the personal satisfaction derived from earning advancement through demonstrated performance rather than inherited privilege. The experience had taught valuable lessons about authentic leadership development, professional fulfillment, and the multiple pathways available for career advancement within organizational structures that reward competence and strategic contribution. The recognition that my professional satisfaction and career advancement had exceeded my original expectations for inherited leadership provided important insights into the nature of success and personal fulfillment. The collaborative model had generated opportunities for growth, strategic contribution, and leadership development that might not have been possible through traditional succession approaches, while providing greater authenticity and personal satisfaction through earned rather than assumed authority. As Sterling and Associates approached its most successful period in company history, the organizational structure that had initially appeared to represent professional displacement had evolved into a collaborative partnership that generated superior business results while providing personal fulfillment and career advancement for both Isabella and me. The success validated the merit-based leadership selection that my mother had implemented while demonstrating that effective family business management could involve innovative approaches to succession planning and executive development. The Gisai. Stability and success of this period created confidence that our collaborative leadership model represented a sustainable approach to managing Sterling and Associates through continued growth and market expansion. However, this period of equilibrium would soon face challenges that would test the resilience of our partnership while creating opportunities for individual strategic thinking and leadership development that neither of us had anticipated during our years of collaborative success. The disruption to our established equilibrium began subtly during the summer of 2022, manifesting initially through minor changes in Isabella's leadership approach and strategic decision-making processes that gradually evolved into more significant alterations of Sterling and Associates' organizational culture and operational priorities. The transformation was sufficiently gradual that its implications were not immediately apparent, yet the cumulative effect would fundamentally challenge the collaborative partnership that had generated exceptional business results during the previous 2 years. The first indication of changing dynamics emerged through Isabella's announcement of a comprehensive organizational efficiency initiative designed to streamline Sterling and Associates operations while reducing overhead costs and improving profit margins. The initiative was presented as a natural evolution of our successful growth strategy, emphasizing the need to optimize our operational structure to maintain competitive advantages while preparing for continued market expansion. Isabella's efficiency initiative involved systematic analysis of all operational processes, staffing levels, and service delivery methodologies to identify opportunities for cost reduction and productivity improvements. The approach reflected her consulting background and analytical expertise, incorporating advanced methodologies for operational assessment and strategic optimization that had been successfully implemented at larger consulting firms during her McKinsey tenure. The analytical framework for the efficiency initiative was comprehensive and methodologically sophisticated, examining every aspect of Sterling and Associates operations through quantitative metrics and comparative benchmarking against industry standards. Isabella's team conducted detailed assessments of staff productivity, client service costs, operational overhead, and profit margins across all service categories and geographic locations. However, the implementation of the efficiency initiative began to reveal philosophical differences between Isabella's systematic approach to business optimization and the relationship-focused culture that had historically defined Sterling and Associates. Competitive advantage. The analytical framework emphasized quantitative metrics and standardized processes that improved operational efficiency while potentially compromising the personalized service delivery and customized client attention that had differentiated our company from larger competitors. The efficiency analysis identified several areas where Sterling and Associates operational costs exceeded industry benchmarks, including staff-to-client ratios, service customization expenses, and relationship management activities that generated significant client satisfaction but limited measurable productivity improvements. Isabella's recommendations focused on standardizing service delivery processes, reducing customization options, and implementing systematic approaches to client relationship management that would improve efficiency while maintaining service quality. My concerns about the efficiency initiative centered on the potential impact on client relationships and service differentiation that had been instrumental in Sterling and Associates' success during recent years. The proposed changes threatened to compromise the personalized attention and customized service approaches that had generated exceptional client satisfaction while creating competitive advantages that larger consulting firms could not replicate. The discussions regarding implementation of the efficiency recommendations revealed fundamental differences in our perspectives on business optimization and competitive strategy. Isabella's approach emphasized systematic improvements and standardized processes that would enhance operational efficiency while reducing costs and improving profit margins. My perspective prioritized maintaining relationship-focused service, delivery, and customized client attention that had generated superior client satisfaction and long-term business relationships. The resolution of these philosophical differences required extensive negotiation and compromise that preserved essential elements of both approaches while addressing the operational optimization needs that Isabella had identified. The final implementation plan included efficiency improvements that reduced operational costs while maintaining core relationship management activities and service customization options that were essential to Sterling and Associates' competitive positioning. However, the efficiency initiative discussion process had revealed underlying tensions in our collaborative leadership model that had not been apparent during our previous years of shared success. The differences in our approaches to business optimization reflected broader philosophical disagreements about competitive strategy, operational priorities, and organizational culture that would continue to influence our working relationship and strategic decision-making processes. The autumn of 2022 brought additional challenges as Isabella announced her intention to pursue aggressive market expansion through acquisition of smaller consulting firms in secondary markets throughout the Midwest region. The acquisition strategy represented a significant departure from Sterling and Associates' historical growth approach, which had emphasized organic expansion and relationship-based business development rather than external acquisitions and rapid market penetration. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.